Welcome to the Bengal Hockey Clubcast, a production of Buffalo State College Club Hockey. I'm Bengals announcer Aaron Alpern. Thanks for joining us. As the Bengals prepare for their scheduled return to play in January, a conversation with Buffalo State head coach Tim Turner. Tim provides an update on the team, last seen in game action on March 13th, a 6-4 win over Bloomsburg College at the CHF Federation Cup. That proved to be the finishing touch on a 20-5 season. Coach Turner on preparations for the upcoming season and what the schedule might look like. We'll also speak with John Marchese, the commissioner of the Upstate New York Collegiate Hockey League, about where things are for January from a league perspective. Also, we listen back to a key early season Buff State win from last November. That's all coming up on the Bengal Hockey Clubcast. Stay tuned. And we're joined now by Buff State head coach Tim Turner. Tim, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Aaron.
Tim, a year ago at this time, you were more than 10 games into your season. Your team was on a winning streak, building momentum onto what would be a very successful season. Obviously, the situation is very different right now. Tell me, what do plans currently look like for hockey this school year?
Yeah, it's been quite different compared to last season. We're preparing the team and the roster, so we can be ready at the drop of a hat. So we really don't know what's going to happen. We're scheduled to start January 1st, and we're cautiously optimistic that might actually stick.
Originally, Coach Turner says the Bengals had a busy schedule laid out, with most weekends featuring games on both nights. But he says the impacts and the uncertainties of the pandemic essentially forced them to throw out that schedule.
Kind of forced us to start scheduling from scratch. So we haven't really begun to restart that process yet because we're waiting on the official word. So once we get that in the coming weeks, we'll have a little more of an idea what we're going to be looking at as far as the schedule is concerned. All we know is when the time comes, we'll have a pretty busy, heavy, condensed schedule because it'll be a shortened season. But it will, as far as we're hearing through CHF and UNYCHL, that it will be extended. At the moment, I think last year the Nationals was in March. This year they're planning on moving Nationals to the week after Easter.
The State University of New York Athletic Conference, which is Buff State's conference for varsity sports, they announced in October that they were going to cancel winter sports for this season. What, if any, impact does that have for you guys on the club level?
And short answer, we really don't know because it's kind of different. But I'm sure it will become a factor to an extent. The SUNYAC, as a conference, they're in the NCAA Division III. They decided to opt out. But other Division III teams and conferences are still operating. Same thing with Division I. Getting back to the question, we are independent. We're self-funded. We plan to do everything we can to compete safely and comply with what Buff State decides to do. I mean, if they don't want us to do it, we will try and find a way to do it, try to appeal. But if it comes down to it, we can't do it, then we'll have to follow what they say and not have any penalties towards us. And we have to follow the guidelines under student government too. So time will tell. If COVID cases are on the low, then can't see any reason for them not allowing us to play. Especially other schools locally that are in our conference and they plan to play. But if we can't, it'd be devastating to the seniors not being able to finish out, just kind of how it was last year when we got pulled from nationals. The seniors had no closure, and now they graduated and that was their last game. They went out with a win, but not with a national win. But
yeah, I hear you there. Looking back to last season, obviously there are a lot of memories that are going to stand out if you look back and start going through games. Anything that you've maybe thought about recently that was maybe more of an under-the-radars type of moment?
It's kind of a tough question. There are a lot of moments that stood out to us, but like the Erie trip, going 3-0 in the winning streak overall, honestly, that was pretty incredible. Under the radar, I'd say there's probably two moments that I could think of. I'd start with the first ever CHF Nationals game against Fredonia. Coach Jeff and I, and obviously the guys in the room, we had a lot of nerves going into it because we're a Tier 2 team at that point, and we're playing in a Tier 1 national event. We were huge underdogs against a real tough Fredonia team that really crushed us the year before. We took it to them, but they seemed to underestimate what we were capable of based on what happened the year before. We took the game in a really exciting way, and now we're the first team to ever win a game in CHF Nationals. But really, I think the most underrated under the radar moments of last year was our 2-0 shutout win against U of R
Rochester.
Yeah,
that game.
Yeah, it was right before the UNYCHL playoffs started. We were once again an underdog in that game against a ranked Tier 1 team. U of R came as advertised. They're a tough team, very well coached, and very hard to play against. They played sound positionally. Our guys just seemed to want it more that night from memory, and it really showed on the ice. Everybody played super hard in front of Dave, especially after the second period when Dave was he posted the goose eggs, so they wanted to finish it for him, and you could really tell that was what they wanted for him. And Dave earned his first shutout of his career there and solidified our bid to nationals.
Another one that later on we're going to have some highlights from the third game of that Erie trip that you mentioned. The second game on that trip was the overtime win against Penn State-Behrend College. That's obviously for good reason. That's remembered as a big win.
Yeah.
What do you recall, though, about the game the next day where you had to go back and play Behrend College again?
And that was a great game. There was so much back and forth between the benches, lots of chirping, and everybody was into it. Both sides. It was crazy. A few weeks prior, they came in and kind of kicked our asses. Didn't show on the scoreboard, but they kind of bullied us around. And honestly, I think they brushed us off. And when they scheduled us early in the season, they expected, there's 3 games against a Tier 2 team that we can just, wipe the floor with. And I feel like they felt that way after they beat us that first game. So when we came to town, we practiced pretty hard, trying to go at each other a little harder, just a little more physical, and we wanted to match and beat their physical play, and I think we executed that pretty well. Guys were humming. I think it was the best all-around performance of the season, as a regular season at least. Like I said, Milo had a huge day that day. Tony body slammed a guy. We just proved to be a little bit too much to handle for them that game, and we kind of outplayed them in almost every aspect of the game. We were just hungrier, and it kind of became the theme that helped write our story for the remainder of the season. Everybody seemed to buy into what we were doing after that, and I guess the rest is history.
Buffalo State head coach Tim Turner, thanks for taking the time, and I look forward to seeing you again behind the bench wearing a suit that I know you enjoy so much.
Thanks, Aaron. Thanks for having me.
We recorded our interview with Coach Turner at Bob & John's La Hacienda, one of the businesses that supported Buff State Club Hockey as a broadcast sponsor last year. Our thanks to Bob & John's, also to Envious Gameware by Bar Down Creative, Ivy Lee Pharmacy, and Charlie the Butcher, as well as Militello Realty, KO Bar and Grill, and AutoStars Collision and Mechanical. Thank you for supporting the Bengals and everything the team accomplished last season. And we're joined via Zoom now by John Marchese, the commissioner of the Upstate New York Collegiate Hockey League. John, thanks for taking the time.
Thank you, Aaron. Always a pleasure.
John, we heard from Coach Turner about the tentative plans for this season to tentatively start after January 1st. Tell us what things are looking like from a UNYCHL perspective and a CHF perspective.
Well, I guess hiatus remains the word. I feel bad, sending weekly or monthly updates to all these programs saying, I don't know, but unfortunately we don't know. We can't, I refuse to write it off until we get that information specifically from the schools that says, yeah, we're done. That's it. And we've got one school out of 27 between the 2 tiers that have told us we're officially done. So to me, that's not enough to write everything off. Even if we get it down to say 8, we could still try and make something work off of that. So, I'm not going to completely wipe the slate until we know for sure, and hopefully it doesn't get to that point.
Who ends up making the decision?
That's it. Everything is going to be based off the schools. I can't tell these guys to play, and I can't tell these guys not to play. It's going to be their call. I've heard a bunch of creative suggestions, which are great. A lot of them have said, Riverworks, for example, you got an open rink, open air, open facility. I've had multiple, again, these are students, so whether the schools know this or not, say, hey, why don't we just set up some tournaments on the weekends? Let's get 4 schools or something like that, and let's just get some games, get some action, get something. Great. Well, who's paying for it? And that's when the crickets come in, and unfortunately, that's when it ends, because obviously until the schools sign off on it, these guys have no budgets to pay for ice, pay for officials, pay for these other things, and that becomes our sticking point then. So, like you said, I would be all for it. Some sort of a bubble thing or open thing, or just tournaments where schools can just come in and play 3 or 4 games on a weekend and just build a schedule off of that. But until the schools sanction, there's literally nothing we can do.
And the schools are basically then waiting on the state, I would assume.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. And keep in mind, we've got a few schools from Pennsylvania too. So now you got interstate, although I mean, I don't know the specifics if there's any rules with Pennsylvania necessarily, but I can tell you this as of now, and I got to keep them quiet, but I mean, there are 3 schools that have actually told me they could play right now, as in right now they could play. And they're more than anyone, the ones that are on me in a good way. Just, hey, what's going on? Can you give us any information? Can we, what, and it's like, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, you want to play, again, I'm not going to tell you no, but what can we do? I mean, I don't even know what the officials would go for it. I mean, I know they're eager to work. I can tell you that. I mean, they're losing money, I'm sure, for not doing this. So I kind of think getting them on board wouldn't be a problem. But now you got state, you got county, you got all these different regulations for rinks. There's a lot of boxes that need to be checked off before we can go forward with something. And like I said, that outdoor thing was a great idea and a great suggestion, but again, who's funding it? And that's our stumbling block with that.
I guess, really, how hopeful are you right now?
I remain optimistic. I look at it this way. So a lot of these Division I schools, now keep in mind Niagara University is launching a second club team this year, and they're coming into our league. So they're new. You have Niagara, you have Canisius, you have Mercyhurst. Their NCAA D1s, to my knowledge, are a go still. So if they're going to play, why couldn't the club team play? I mean, essentially. And then you look at, I know the UNYCHL got put on, I don't know if they were officially canceled. I've read it. I don't know specifically, but I mean, now there's talks to try and get them back up again, and that's State, Fredonia, Brockport, et cetera, same thing. If they can launch their programs, why couldn't the club team? I mean, sure, your budgets are going to be affected, but I mean, the way we set it up, and even if we did something, say, late January to early April, I mean, our travel schedule budget, it's not going to be anything ridiculous in the first place. So if it can work, why not? And that's, like I said, that's why I refuse to just crush the thing when there's still a chance, whether it's 5%, whether it's 25%. I mean, there's still a possibility. You write it off, you're done. There's no going back. You leave it open with the asterisk or stay tuned. Well, that's what it is. It's an asterisk, stay tuned. So at least the window's still open. I mean, the CHF is basically, they talk to me regularly. What's the latest, John? What's the latest? And it's the same thing. I don't have an answer for you. I can't. It's not good. It's not bad. That's basically what I tell them. It's like, oh, well, we only had one officially pull out, so, which is good. But again, with 23, 22 or whatever on hiatus, I mean, that could turn the wrong way tomorrow. I mean, we just don't know. So.
Well, hopefully things start turning for the better in the near future, and hopefully we get to see you again inside a hockey rink real soon.
Oh, I can't wait, my friend. I can't wait. Like I said, I miss you guys. You guys do a wonderful job. I mean, just with your game, just your game day program itself. And that's just talking you. I mean, the Buff State program itself is making great strides. I mean, I was looking forward to them. They were making the jump this year up to the Tier 1. So we had a really nice structure, divisional format all set up. With a couple new teams coming in, obviously with Niagara and Cortland, and so there were going to be some new faces in there. And I mean, it'll come eventually. So I mean, it's not like it's going to be gone forever. I mean, the puck will drop again someday. It's basically what I'm saying. So hopefully sooner than later.
Well, we look forward to that. Thank you very much for joining us, John.
Awesome. Anytime, Aaron. Thank you.
To close out this first episode of the Bengal Hockey Clubcast, we throw it back to the team's 3-game road trip to Erie, Pennsylvania last November. Buff State kicked off the weekend with a 7-3 win over Gannon on Friday, then exacted some revenge for an October loss to Penn State-Behrend College with a dramatic 5-4 win in overtime on Saturday. That set the stage for another game with the Behrend College Lions on Sunday, and this time, the Bengals left little doubt.
Good afternoon from Erie, Pennsylvania. Game 3 of the Buff State road trip. 3-game road trip here to Erie this weekend, looking to pick up their 3rd win on the road trip. Hunt takes the puck off the draw and tries to get a shot away, but he's tied up there by the defender. Lotempio keeps it in. Militello in front with a shot and a goal! Alex Militello gets the game's first goal. That's his 8th of the season. And the Buff State Bengals have a quick 1-0 lead. Lotempio coming up with the loose puck. Puck comes now across in front of the net. Bodami on the backhand, he scores! Pretty play in front of the net by John Glasgow and Frank Bodami. But Orlowski gets the puck knocked off his stick by Farnett, who clears it out of the Buff State zone. Farnett taken down on the play, no call. Hunt digging in for the puck against Stanton. Farnett takes a hit in the left wing corner, but he slides it on to Botch. Botch behind the Buff State net as a penalty is being called in the play. And there's a scrap going on behind the net in the far corner. Farnett in there with Stanton, both of them throwing punches at each other on the ice. And looks like the Behrend College player is getting thrown from the game. Stanton being escorted off the ice with some words for the officials. Slams his stick against the doorway as he exits in towards the locker room and steers that one into the corner where Bodami feeds it down to Lotempio. In front of the net, now he shoots and scores! Elliot Hunt taking the pass from Joe Lotempio, and he buries it in the lower part of the net, and it's now 3-0 Buff State. Puts it up to Glasgow. Glasgow coming in 2-on-1 with Thornton. Slides it across to Thornton, who shoots and scores! Shot here coming from the point down front. A great save by Dave Hahn, and he makes a second one on Ben Mariner to rob him twice. So it comes out into the neutral zone to Michael Lotempio, and Michael Lotempio has a bit of a break here. Lotempio in on net, he shoots and scores! He lost control of the puck briefly there in front, but had the wherewithal to keep his eyes on the puck and bury it home on the rebound to make it 5-0 Buff State. Back to the point to Osborne. Osborne lets a shot go, and that gets deflected wide. And that'll do it, folks. Buff State Bengals have their 6th win in a row as they win today by a 5-3 count over the Behrend College Lions.
You can support Buffalo State College Club Hockey by signing up for the team's current fundraiser, where your raffle ticket could win you a booze-filled Yeti cooler, a gift card from Bar Bill, or a gift card to Bob and John's. Proceeds benefit the team and will help bring down expenses for each player. More information on the team's social media pages, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or email the team, bscclubhockey@gmail.com. The Bengal Hockey Clubcast is a production of Buffalo State College Club Hockey. Stay tuned for more episodes, and hopefully, some real live games again. I'm Aaron Alpern. Thank you for joining us.